Right now it's 6. We're live at the Democratic National Convention as it kicks off in Chicago. And a downtown La Crosse Street closes for a city project.
Watching WKBT La Crosse, this is News 8 Now at 6.
Good evening and thank you for joining us for News 8 Now at 6. I'm Emily Brown. Well, it's day one of the Democratic National Convention, and while it may be in Chicago, battleground states like Wisconsin remain top of mind for party leaders. News 8 Now's Ken Kazarowski joins us live from the DNC grounds with the latest. Ken.
Good evening to you, Emily. Yes, people are still filing into the United Center for night one of programming here at the United Center. Now, Wisconsin's delegation kind of got a VIP treatment early this morning at a breakfast. VP nominee Tim Walz and a bunch of other top national Democrats surprising the Wisconsin delegation and pushing the notion that to win the White House, Democrats need to win Wisconsin. Now, President Biden tonight for day one of the DNC is giving the keynote address, which will essentially hand the keys off to Kamala Harris. So tonight for Wisconsin delegates and delegates at large, it's a bit of a balancing act between trying to acknowledge President Biden's so-called accomplishments over the last several years, but also trying to move forward with Harris.
He is a great president. Know him well. I consider him a friend. In fact, I think Joe Biden could have won Wisconsin. I'm not, saying that he could have won the country, but his work on infrastructure has been amazing.
I think what the American people have seen over the last month is what I've seen in the meetings that I've had with her. She is somebody who is engaged on the issues. She cares deeply about people and about making a positive impact. And she's really personable. She's friendly. She's outgoing.
Now, we did hear this phrase quite a bit at the delegation, that they are, quote, jazzed as hell about the Harris-Walz ticket. And according to a Monmouth University poll, back in June, Democratic voter enthusiasm in general for Joe Biden as their candidate was 46%. Now in the month of August with Kamala Harris, it's 86%. Allison Frigget joins me now outside the United Center, and the youth voter enthusiasm is definitely playing into those polls and some of the sentiment we were getting this morning among the Wisconsin delegates.
Oh, definitely. Young voters here just know how important they are in our state. Now, Harris and Trump are both going to have to put in a lot of work to get the young members of their bases out and voting in Wisconsin. But young Democrats that we spoke to today said they're doing all that they can to make sure that Wisconsin goes blue this November.
I can't even describe how excited I am.
Wisconsin's young Democrats are fired up to vote for Kamala Harris.
Young people are excited. They're thrilled to support a ticket that supports their values.
Harris and Walz self-describe as, quote, joyful warriors, and that optimistic energy is spreading to the party's youngest members.
It's just been constant. This is the most important election of your lifetime, and we're running off of fear. And for the first time, we're still nervous, but we're much more motivated by excitement.
They believe the switch at the top of the ticket has energized young people to get involved.
In the beginning, students weren't excited to vote. They didn't really care who was the president. And when Kamala announced and Tim Walz announced, I've seen people who weren't planning on voting at all who are so ready to vote for the ticket.
And those young voters could be the make or break in a state with razor-thin election margins. Massachusetts-based Tufts University says Wisconsin's youth are the most likely to impact the presidential election outcome in their state.
The youth is very important. I mean, in this election and the next election, whatever election it may be, the youth will always be important.
The young Dems here say the Harris-Walz ticket best represents the issues they care about the most.
One, there's climate change. We want to make sure that our planet is habitable as we grow into the workforce. There's a question of, affordability. Kamala Harris just released her economic plan, which makes college more affordable, housing more affordable, so that as we, grow up and enter the workforce again, we can afford those costs.
And they're hoping to use policy and positivity to continue building momentum for their candidates.
You can see by the masses of people who are taking to the streets, knocking on doors, talking to their neighbors, that there's something special that's happened in this election with Kamala Harris and Tim Walz.
Now, come November, we will see just how important the youth vote is for both Democrats and Republicans in the Badger State.
We absolutely will. So speeches underway inside the United Center. Hillary Clinton going to speak tonight, as is President Biden giving the keynote speech later tonight. The theme today, for the people, the idea that the Democrats are the party supporting middle America and all Americans in general. Live outside the United Center for Allison Frigget, I'm Ken Kazarowski. Emily, back to you in the studio.
All right. Thank you, Ken and Allison. Well, some excellent weather we had today. Sunny, re-energizing, still feeling like summer. And Greg, in my book, that's a good thing.
Yeah, so far this August, it's actually been very pleasant, mild conditions. I can't really beat these conditions, but we are going to see a change later in the week. But for the time being, we're just dealing with a little bit of haze out there from the smoke. Otherwise, generally good conditions. We do have that full moon coming. I think it rises about 8:23 p.m. It will be the Sturgeon moon. It is a blue moon because it is a second full moon and a super moon. We got 4 more coming, 3 more after this coming up. But overall for this evening, mid-60s by 11 p.m. with clearing skies. We've got a few clouds out there, a little bit more cloud cover up to the north, a little backdoor cold front coming through. Otherwise, clearing skies towards the evening, 11 p.m. getting back to the mid-60s with a light northeast wind. All in all, we do have a little bit of cloud cover, but most of that is to the east. Maybe even a sprinkle up there too. But as we kind of zoom out, really the main issues that we're dealing with are well to the west, and that activity is not going to get much closer than maybe some clouds coming up in a few days. Otherwise for tonight, besides that moon out there, we might deal with a little bit of a morning fog issue once again towards the river and further westward. Otherwise 50s with some upper 40s. And if you're looking for mugginess, we'll break down when the muggy conditions are coming back, because they are going to be making a return later in the week. Well, actually towards the weekend, I should say.
Okay. All right. Thank you, Greg. 4 teenagers are injured after a UTV crash in Viroqua Sunday afternoon. According to the Vernon County Sheriff's Office, a side-by-side UTV was headed east on the Upper Maple Dale Road when a 14-year-old driver tipped the UTV onto its side while making a right turn. All 4 passengers were taken to Vernon Memorial Healthcare and were released that day. No seatbelts or helmets were used, and the crash is still under investigation. In downtown La Crosse, a section of Cass Street is closing for a city project. According to a notification from the city, beginning tomorrow, the east and westbound lanes of Cass Street will be closed for an unspecified city project. The closures run from 7th Street to 3rd Street. A finish date for the project is not listed on the city's notification, which adds a detour will not be posted. Gunderson officials announced the addition of 4 inpatient mental health beds today. The addition brings their total to 34 beds in inpatient behavioral health. 4 beds will allow their team to serve an additional 200 patients experiencing mental health crisis per year. Recent closures of HSHS Sacred Heart Hospital and Prevea Behavioral Health Care have resulted in a drastic reduction of behavioral health beds in western Wisconsin.
This also makes us the only inpatient behavioral health provider this side of the state. The decisions are not easy, but this is a necessary one. We are adding 4 inpatient behavioral health beds to meet the needs of our community, patients, and families who need it.
A 2024 Compass Now report identifies mental health care and healthcare access as the top 2 community needs in the Great Rivers region. Volunteers gathered at Northwoods International today to get the school garden ready for a new school year. The garden is maintained by GROW, an area nonprofit that partners with schools to connect youth with healthy food through hands-on garden-based experiences. In addition to harvesting produce, the volunteers also spent their morning weeding and watering the plants. GROW's lead program coordinator says volunteers play a big part in the nonprofit's success.
We love to have the kids in the garden. We love to have volunteers come out and help support it, because that's what it's all about, is bringing the community in and having everybody involved.
Now, if you'd like to help GROW prep the other partner gardens for the upcoming school year, there's information on how to do so on their website. We'll have that linked on our digital platforms. Community members teed off at the La Crosse Country Club this morning to support scouting in the Coulee region. The outing began with a shotgun start and featured hole-in-one challenges and giveaways. Participants also had the chance to meet a special guest, Green Bay Packer Hall of Fame quarterback Lynn Dickey. Dickey says that his time in the Boy Scouts organization taught him a valuable lesson about discipline.
If you don't get anything out of it other than I have a chore, I have an assignment, but the discipline that it takes to go ahead and do those chores and do those accomplishments. And I think you're learning at a young age how to discipline yourself to do something and accomplish it.
Funds raised at today's golf outing will go towards scouting programs in 8 southwest Wisconsin counties and Houston County, Minnesota. Trump campaign battleground state blitz. Donald Trump and his running mate J.D. Vance in Pennsylvania when we get back.
If you're in a nursing home, you only have 5-6 month life expectancy. Almost nobody in a nursing home is in a point to vote.
Listen, Eric Hovde, Mr. Fancy California banker, I earned my retirement, but you said you would absolutely cut Social Security and even raise the retirement age. Now you want to take away our right to vote? Eric Hovde, you're one heck of a jerk. Will never have my vote. DSCC is responsible for the content of this ad.
Drive into summer with the rugged Honda Ridgeline, Passport, and Pilot. Summer is for exploring, so get outdoors, kick up some dust, get muddy, or just find that perfect campsite. All from Honda, the 2024 Kelley Blue Book's KBB.com Best Value brand. So act now to get an offer you'll love. Buy online, reserve from select dealers, or hurry into the Honda Summer Event.
Everyone deserves the fastest, most reliable internet speeds, regardless of where they live. That's why Spectrum offers the fastest speeds in more neighborhoods than any other provider.
Switch to Spectrum Internet for only $49.99 a month. Call 1-833-376-4999.
With Spectrum Internet, you can power all of your devices to enjoy streaming, video chatting, and gaming. I rely on Spectrum Internet. You should too. Call now.
My son, Nick, took illicit fentanyl, which cost him his life. And knowing that my son is never coming back is the worst thing that I will have to live with for the rest of my life.
Tammy Baldwin's been with us every step of the way. She just got a major bill passed to really crack down on fentanyl. She doesn't just talk the talk, but she actually walks the walk.
I cannot tell you how much we appreciate Tammy Baldwin fighting this fight.
I'm Tammy Baldwin. I approve this message.
As Democrats gather for their convention this week, former President Donald Trump and his running mate J.D. Vance are in the battleground state of Pennsylvania. It will be the start of a battleground state blitz, a week of counter-programming to the DNC. CBS's Nicole Sganga has the latest.
Former President Donald Trump kicked off one of his busiest campaign weeks ever in reliably red York, Pennsylvania, with his message to make America affordable again.
We will put more money into your pockets and create millions and millions of new jobs. We're going to do it like nobody else.
Trump hopes to end what Republicans and supporters are calling the Harris honeymoon period.
You know, I think that the Harris bump has already happened.
But the former president has struggled to stay on his economic message.
I'm a better looking person than Kamala.
Riffs like that have Trump allies concerned.
And if you have a policy debate for president, he wins. Donald Trump, the provocateur, the showman, may not win this election.
CBS News polling says the former president leads among those who say the economy and inflation are major factors in their vote. Trump's running mate, Senator J.D. Vance, also talked economics in Pennsylvania Monday.
She wants to make groceries and homes more affordable for American citizens. Well, Kamala Harris, where have you been? Because you've been vice president for about 1,300 days. Day one was 3.5 years ago. You should have been doing your job then.
Pennsylvania would be a major prize for either party. 10 of the past 12 presidents won the Keystone State. The former president is scheduled to visit 4 more battleground states later this week, including North Carolina, where Trump will hold an outdoor rally, the first since his assassination attempt a little over a month ago. Nicole Sganga, CBS News, Washington.
Now, former President Trump will visit Michigan Tuesday to discuss crime and safety. It will be the president's 6th visit to Michigan this year. Well, a nice sunny streak ahead. How long will it last? Greg Barnhart has all the answers right after the break.
Sanctuary cities protect illegal immigrant criminals from being deported, like an illegal immigrant arrested for battery in Madison. Instead of being deported, he was released and went on to assault several more women, including a 13-year-old girl. Senator Tammy Baldwin voted 9 times to support federal funding for sanctuary cities that release dangerous illegals back onto our streets. And Baldwin voted for amnesty for 11 million illegals, including criminals. Tell Senator Baldwin, stop protecting illegal immigrants and start protecting Wisconsin.
There are trucks, and then there's the GMC Sierra, available with the connected driving experience and the world's first 6-function multi-pro tailgate. GMC Sierra. It's the truck. Or get $3,500 purchase cash on select GMC Sierra models. Or get a total of $6,000 purchase allowance when you trade in an eligible vehicle.
Visit your Best Choice GMC dealer today.
Asher Laston Exteriors is committed to craftsmanship, innovation, and outstanding customer service as Western Wisconsin's window and door replacement experts. Our superior quality, energy-saving windows and doors from the trusted brand of Renewal by Andersen are skillfully installed by certified technicians and backed by some of the strongest transferable warranties available. Save up to 20% with 0 down and no interest or payments for up to 18 months with Renewal by Andersen Windows and Doors. Brought to you by Asher Laston Exteriors.
She grew up in a middle-class home. She was the daughter of a working mom, and she worked at McDonald's while she got her degree. Kamala Harris knows what it's like to be middle class. It's why she's determined to lower healthcare costs and make housing more affordable. Donald Trump has no plan to help the middle class, just more tax cuts for billionaires. Being president is about who you fight for, and she's fighting for people like you.
I'm Kamala Harris, and I approve this message.
Yeah, we're certainly going to have pleasant conditions going on right now. If you look at the overall max temperatures today, if you take a 3D look at it, it's definitely going to be hot towards the south. And if you kind of look at a 3D look at it, this heat dome to the south is what's going to stay down there in Texas. We're going to stay north of it, but that pattern's going to remain there. So they could be definitely seeing triple digits in that area, along with a pretty good heat index. You can scan around the area overall. We're looking pretty good. It's because we have this ridge coming all the way up, this high pressure, this jet stream going all the way up to north of Canada that actually is warming out, and then showers and thunderstorms for the middle part of the Intermountain West. But overall, this pattern keeps us kind of in a northwest flow, keeps the active pattern also just to our west, the storm track. So that means dry, mainly mild conditions. Eventually we'll see this change, but for the time being, it's really going to be quite pleasant for this time in August. Eventually over the week, we're going to start seeing a little bit of this warm dome start to push a little bit eastward, but really you're not going to see much of a temperature change and especially humidity change until we get to the end of the week, and we're looking maybe by Friday we start to see this push northward. That will give us pretty much a hot and humid weekend going into Saturday, Sunday, and eventually even to next Monday. So that's a change that'll eventually be coming, but it's still a good 5 days out that we're going to see it. But we are going to see the 90s once again come through. So overall, if you look at what's going on currently, we still got some fog. In this pattern, we do have a fog potential, so we'll probably see more of that tonight. The pleasant temperatures, as I mentioned, will be at least through Thursday, and more clouds Thursday and Friday as kind of a system passes through, but we're expecting to remain dry right now. But that's the day I think we'll see more clouds. But overall for tonight, we're just going to drop those temperatures back into the 50s, maybe some upper 40s. You'll see the fog potential probably along the river areas, maybe some low clouds developing too. I think take note of northeast Iowa. That's probably where we're going to see more of it. But temperatures, 50s, there could be upper 40s there, so pleasant, comfortable conditions. Waking up tomorrow, could be a fog potential. You see some of that down there, low clouds developing. By default, 9 to 10, everything should be clearing out. Light east winds. We'll have some high clouds begin to approach or develop in the afternoon, but still getting well up into the 70s by noon. Low 80s potentially in some areas, or upper 70s, a little bit below average, but still very comfortable for this time of year. And then for tomorrow evening, just high clouds. All that precipitation out to the west will stay there. In fact, a lot of it probably won't even reach the ground as we keep this east wind going. Overall, still pleasant going into Tuesday night into Wednesday. Fog potential, really, I'm keeping a note on it's northeast Iowa that we might see 1 to 2 miles. So that could be dense in those areas. Otherwise, it's going to be a lot of hit and miss for most of the other areas. So we're still dealing with that in this time of year. We kind of deal with that typically every single morning. But overall, matchy fog, we'll see pleasant temperatures. These are still below average, low 70s up to the north, mid 70s. Could be a few areas that get up into the low 80s. We should be about low to mid 80s, but it is beginning to drop. Then as we'll see the 8-day forecast, very quiet conditions, more clouds Thursday and Friday, and then the humidity and the temperature rise through the weekend. And I think we will see some 90s, get a little muggy there, and then kind of tail off next week. The one thing you don't see in there, precipitation chances right now.
I like it.
We'll see if that changes as we get towards the weekend, but for right now, it's low if we see anything during this period.
We can keep the short sleeves and shorts out.
We still got a good month left of hot weather.
Perfect to wear tonight to see the blue moon.
Yes.
The big super moon, which will be at peak at what time, Greg?
Well, rises at 8.
Okay, at 8. Okay. Get outside and make your wishes, everyone. All right, coming up in sports, one area volleyball team has some high hopes for the upcoming season. Find out why the Mabel Canton Cougars are primed for a big year. Up next.
Proper installation of your new windows make a difference. The team at Clear Choice Window and Home Solutions are factory trained to make sure your windows are installed to last. Call or stop into the showroom for your free estimate.
Chart your career with a welding position at Chart Industries. Do you have a year or more of welding experience? Starting wages up to $35 per hour. We have the job for you. Apply today at jobs.chartindustries.com.
Life has become too expensive. Groceries and gas have gotten out of control, and red tape is killing the economy. But fortunately, our Congressman, Derek Van Orden, is fighting for solutions to make living more affordable for us in Wisconsin. He's advocating for common sense bills that would make everyday items like gas and groceries more affordable.
Now, Congress has an opportunity to lower costs by cutting red tape. Tell Congressman Van Orden to keep working to lower costs and support the Red Tape Reduction Act.
T-Mobile coverage in my area is wonderful.
We have 8 acres, and it gives you peace of mind to know that you're going to have a reliable signal.
We enjoy hiking. We enjoy the outdoors. The coverage has been great.
And after investing billions to light up our network from big cities to small towns, T-Mobile is America's largest and fastest 5G network. See for yourself. Try T-Mobile's network free for 3 months. Your phone, our network, no strings.
I'm Eric Hovde, and I approve this message.
A southern border where millions enter here illegally, including violent criminals, some on the FBI's terror watch list, American hostages held by terrorists in the Middle East, violent protests across our country, record crime in our neighborhoods, and streets that don't feel safe. Chaos created by absentee leadership in Washington. For too long, Biden, Harris, and Baldwin have sat by and done nothing while our nation falls apart. It's time for change.
Chart your career with a welding position at Chart Industries. Do you have a year or more of welding experience? Starting wages up to $35 per hour. We have the job for you. Apply today at jobs.chartindustries.com.
Covering all of the exciting action from your community, here's News 8 Now Sports.
High school volleyball is back. Teams in Wisconsin get their first week of practice started today, while our Minnesota teams are now into week number 2. The Mabel Canton Cougars were flying around the gym this morning, and the girls already have their eyes on a 3rd straight trip to state. Lonnie Morgan is entering year 31 as head coach of Mabel Canton. He has well over 800 wins, but has possibly never had a team as good as this year's. Cougars are preseason rank 1 in Class 1A after returning everyone from last season's 4th place state finish. And this time around, the team only has one goal in mind.
We have very high expectations. We're hoping we can win state this year. It's a lot, but we are all very focused, and I think everybody on the team wants it. And if everyone wants it that bad, then I think we can accomplish it.
State championship. I mean, definitely conference, like one thing at a time. We're not going to roll past everyone. We have some competition still, regular season for sure. But yeah, to get to state first, and I know we have a shot at the state championship.
It's the biggest goal you can have, but when you have players who are willing to learn and a coach who has over 30 years of experience, the stars might be aligning in Mabel Canton.
So the easy thing would be to sit back and say, well, you know, keep everything the same starters, the same rotation, the same everything. Well, I've never been one to do the easy thing, right? Because that's when you start doing the easy thing, you relax, you get complacent. Last year they realized we had to get better at serving, had to get better at serve receive, and our offense had to get a little bit more diverse.
The Cougars will begin their season this weekend up in Duluth, and they'll start their quest for a 27th straight conference title when they host Leroy Ostrander next Monday. Well, it was an ugly showing for the Packers last night in their second preseason matchup against the Broncos. The offense looked out of sorts, totaling only 168 total yards, and the defense had some struggles stopping Denver. Matt LaFleur says the urgency was just not there.
It doesn't matter who's out there. If you don't put your best foot forward each and every time you go out on that field, these things happen to you. So, you know, we're going to have to regroup, take a long, hard look in the mirror, and we got to get better, and we need that urgency from everybody.
Yeah, so tough night for the Packers. Excited to get volleyball going and football this week later, too. So
yeah, 27th conference title ahead of them. Wow, yeah, good luck. No pressure at all, right? Okay, we'll have another look at your forecast right after this.
Our son Trent overcame kidney disease and beat cancer. But when he injured his leg, he took what he thought was a pain pill.
It was laced with fentanyl, and it killed him. He was 23.
We reached out to Tammy Baldwin, but all we got back was a form letter.
Obviously, she doesn't care about families like ours. Our kids are dying from fentanyl pouring across our border.
And we can't trust Tammy Baldwin to stop it.
Fix Washington PAC is responsible for the content of this advertising.
The Make It Ford Summer Sales Event is on. So make it your best summer ever with Ford. Get your ideal combination of power and capability. And experience hands-free highway driving technology with Ford Blue Cruise, available on select vehicles. It's the Make It Ford Summer Sales Event, so make it yours. Make it now. Get up to $7,400 in total savings on a new 2024 Ford F-150, only at your local Northland Ford dealers.
We know the fentanyl coming from Mexico and China is a threat here in Wisconsin.
It's why Tammy Baldwin is working to stop it.
And Tammy passed the bipartisan Fend Off Fentanyl Act.
It takes on the Mexican cartels and the fentanyl coming from China.
And Tammy Baldwin voted 32 times to strengthen our border.
32 times to increase border patrols.
And technology to keep illegal drugs out. Because Senator Baldwin knows
keeping us safe is her first priority.
Tell Tammy Baldwin to keep securing our borders.
All right, tonight, maybe a little bit of patchy fog later in the night as you watch that full moon. I think it's about 33 degrees above the horizon by about 1:30 a.m., so that's the best chance. Otherwise, very pleasant for the rest of the week. We do get hot and humid by the weekend.
A full blue moon, everyone.
That's true.
Cue the Marcells and Billie Holiday. I am excited. Thank you so much for joining us tonight at 6. We'll see you at 10.